7:10 now. An investigation by Good Morning Britain has found almost half of people in England have stopped going to the dentist because they think it's too expensive, and a quarter were unable to get an NHS appointment.
Even more worryingly, nearly 1 in 10 have tried to fix their own dental problems, with some reporting to using DIY kits like these. Warning that this report contains some extreme examples which carry serious risks and should not be attempted.
So I had an abscess. I was in absolute agony. I tried 7 or 8 different dentists, NHS and non-NHS. None of them had pulled my tooth out, and they were going to charge me up to £700 or £800 just for the one treatment. After months of trying, I drank half a bottle of whiskey, decided that I were going to pull it out myself, and that's what I used.
I've got a small screwdriver, my file to file it down. I found this little dentistry package, if you like. It gets the mixture onto the crown and put it in your mouth and hold it there.
I was just eating some sweets, and as I was chewing, this tooth obviously snapped in half, and that's obviously when I had to pull it out. I used the smallest pair of pliers I could find, obviously to get in between the tooth, because it was split into halves. So I just pulled them as hard as I could with a bit of tissue and yanked it out.
It just sounds unbearable. We're joined now by NHS England's Chief Dental Officer, Sarah Hurley, and alongside a dentist, Dr. Tony Kilcoyne. Great to see you both.
Thank you.
Sarah Hurley, people resorting to taking half a bottle of whiskey and a pair of pliers. What has gone wrong with our dental service that they're doing this at home?
It's really distressing to hear about people having to resort or feel they've got to resort to such drastic measures when actually it's really unnecessary. We've got a fabulous system called NHS 111, and you can get an emergency dental appointment, and in many cases 2/3 of those that are attending for the NHS emergency appointment are not actually paying for it. Today in London, there are appointments. Across England today, it's about 10,000 urgent care appointments available.
However, in our survey in Manchester, 80% of the dentists we called couldn't see us on the NHS at all. 80% couldn't see us on the NHS.
So your team rang 10 practices in Manchester, I'm aware of that. Now there's 1,400 dentists in Manchester, and actually that's one place to start, but we don't want patients having to ring down a list of numbers.
You wouldn't expect a patient to ring more than 2 or 3 dentists.
No, and actually that's where NHS 111 comes into its own. One phone call, you'll get advice, you'll get an appointment, ideally that day, but if the worst comes to the worst, within 48 hours. And last year, 3.5 million people used that service.
OK, Tony Kilcoyne, you were an NHS dentist.
Indeed.
You're now a private dentist.
Yes.
I could see, I wouldn't say you were exactly nodding along there at what you were hearing. Apparently, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. What's the problem?
Well, I mean, come on, let's get real. Dentistry has been getting, NHS dental service has been getting worse for over a decade now. They introduced a target-based system. It's not based on patients' needs. It's getting worse and worse every year. The number one reason any child under 10 is hospitalised, the number one medical reason, is rotten teeth. There's just almost no prevention in the system. It's getting worse. Dentists are at full stretch. Goodness me, they're doing their best. But the reason you're phoning up Manchester, I mean, you phoned 10 practices. The patient's going to give up at 6, 7, 8. And if they're desperate and in pain, sometimes there's nothing worse than toothache, you know. We actually need a dedicated A&E dental service. We need prevention for children, because this is going to swamp the limited NHS dental service even more.
Let me throw a little spanner into the works of all this, right? Because clearly you massively disagree with each other about this. I've spent a lot of time in America in the last 10 years where teeth are just like king, right? Everybody goes to a dentist regularly. Everybody has perfect teeth. They mock us here for the state of our teeth. Is part of the statistic that half of the people don't bother going. Is a lot of it down to my own anecdotal experience here, which is people don't like going to the dentist. They only go when they absolutely have to. It's not part of a routine as it is in a country like America, for example.
Or is it your own survey actually showed that 70% of people went to the dentist in the last 12 months, and that 75% of the people actually were successful in getting an appointment that suited their schedule. That's really good news. And, you know, we are improving the service. 22 million people last year used the NHS services, and that's great.
I think part of the problem, though, and I wonder if you'd agree, Tony, you've become a private dentist, which is not exactly supporting the NHS dental service, is it? The weird thing is it's an NHS service, but you have to pay for it. I mean, for lots of people, there is no difference between an NHS and a private dentist because you're still paying. And our survey shows people are confused by the fees and assume it's going to leave them out of pocket.
Actually, I would disagree with you, Suzanne, because I think private dentistry supports NHS because people are funding their own dentistry and not being yet an additional burden on the NHS dental system. The government's own Health and Social Care Information Centre shows that only just over 55% of the whole population, so not even a survey, the whole population have seen an NHS dentist. That means 45% haven't in 2 years. There's no prevention. Piers' point about the USA, everybody is wonderfully informed about dental prevention. Teeth are important to your general health as well as your oral health.
It seems far more important there, just from my experience, than it is here. It's far more part of people's routine to regularly have their teeth checked.
Is it not a possibility that because it is effectively private, I mean, it is private in the US, it's promoted by private dentists because, of course, that's the way they make their living?
Yeah, it is, but I think it's also just a different attitude towards teeth. People in America view their teeth as just another part of their body, like their hair or whatever, to be dealt with regularly and checked and maintained. I'm not sure that is the culture in this country.
I think you're right, Piers. I mean, it's about time we put the mouth back in the body here in England.
Like that line.
We really do need to think about it. And your point about expense, again, 3 clicks of a mouse on the internet. Now, I know not everybody gets hold of the internet, but 3 clicks of the mouse, and you can find out that actually, that if you do need to actually put your hand in your pocket for some NHS care, then a checkup with radiographs, a scale and a polish if it's needed, is going to cost you £19.70.
So if we ring a load of, if we make a load of 111 calls today, all around the country, how confident, say we made 100, I think we should make 100 calls today, randomly. How confident are you that we're going to get the kind of attention and speedy attention that you think we get?
I'm very confident. I mean, yesterday I tested out the system myself, and I called in the East Yorkshire area, and I was offered an appointment at 5:20 Monday afternoon, or a choice of 9 appointments today at a fantastic practice in Hull.
All NHS practices?
All NHS.
And Tony?
I completely disagree with that. The 111 service, people are already topped up on all the painkillers. They're desperate. Even if you fell over and hurt your knee, A&E would see you in 4 hours, or at least if you have to wait if they're busy that same day. We do not have that level of service. Your own survey said even in the best area, yes, 70% could find someone, but that means 30%
well,
couldn't.
What we're going to do, we're going to randomly call 100 dentistries up and down the country. Well, actually, we'll call 111 100 times from purporting to be from different parts of the country, and we will see.
Yeah, we'll test it out. Lovely to see.
And we will reveal our findings on tomorrow's show.
Thank you very much.
It's the best way to test it.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
18 minutes.